Braille has become a worldwide way for people with blindness to read and write with ease. But have you ever stopped and wondered who invented Braille? Let's find out on today's episode of
Colossal Question.
It turns out the Braille writing system was invented by a guy named, well, Braille. Louis Braille, that is, a Frenchman who had a bad accident at the age of 3 that left him blind. Back in those days, there weren't many resources to help people with blindness. But Louis Braille still excelled as a student. At 10 years old, he won a scholarship to a state-of-the-art school in Paris called the Royal Institution for Blind Youth. It was one of the very first schools in the world for the blind, and Louis flourished in his years there. He learned through oral lessons and would read books that the school's founder had customized so the letters were raised on the page. This helped him and other students read, but it could sometimes be hard to tell certain letters apart. Somewhere along the line, Louis decided he was going to try and devise a system that would let people with blindness do both. He finally got his spark of inspiration when he learned about a former French army captain named Charles Barbier, who invented a system called night writing. Soldiers used it to pass coded messages around in the cover of darkness without needing to speak or spark a light. Messages were written out in a code of raised dots and dashes that were pressed into the paper. So, he went about adapting Barbier's system for the blind. In Braille, each letter of the alphabet is represented by a different pattern of raised dots, which were easy to tell apart even with just a fingertip. Braille's new system was ready to show off, and in 1824, he did just that. At just 15 years old, Braille presented his new system to his peers, and just 5 years later, he published the first ever book on Braille. The second revision was published 8 years later and included symbols for math and music, too. Louis, who had always been in fairly poor health, died young at the age of 43. Braille never got to live to see his namesake spread across the world. His home nation of France first recognized the Braille system 2 years after his death. Today, the Braille system is the standard form of reading and writing used by people with visual impairments in all corners of the globe. It's been adapted to different languages and scripts so that just about any language can be translated into Braille. Nice!